Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about The Royals, Season 1. So this show came out in 2015, and I've always wanted to talk about this show because it's really unique and interesting, and I really enjoyed it. It was an E-network show, and it was an American show set in Britain with a British cast, and one American for Season 1 only. And so this show depicts a fictional royal family living in England. So they are not stars cast to be Queen Elizabeth II, may she rest in peace, former Prince, now King Charles, and Prince William and Harry. They're not playing those people. They're completely made up characters. And I've always wondered, how does the real British royal family feel about this show? Because like in the first episode, something happens to the princess very early on in the first couple of minutes as she's drunk and high at a club, and she falls off a table and you see her crotch, and the paparazzi take a picture of it and put it in the newspaper. It reminded me of Prince Harry in the hot tub. So I do wonder, how they felt about this. Now, this show is actually loosely based off of a book. The 2011 novel created by Michelle Ray, Falling from Hamlet. So this came out in 2011, but the Prince Harry hot tub thing came out in 2012. And the show went into production in 2013. So I've never read the book. I'm not sure how much the show is based off of. I know it's loosely based off it. I bet you anything in 2013, they're all like, hey, we need our own hot tub moment. And I'm not quite sure how I found this show out, because I started watching this show after it got canceled. It lasted for 4 seasons and for 10 episodes each. And I remember back in the day, it was on Amazon Prime. And I think that's back when I had Amazon and I was flipping through trying to find something to watch, and I stumbled upon this. And I recognized 2 of the cast and the cover picture. Elizabeth Hurley and that William Moseley. Elizabeth Hurley, best known for Austin Powers and Bedazzled. And William Moseley's best known for the Chronicles of Narnia. And so I'm like, cool, I'm like a fan of both of theirs. I'll check this out. Like, why not? You know what I'm saying? And it also stars that of Alexandria Park and that of Jake Maskell. And so, I don't know who those 2 people are, but I later saw Jake Maskell in one of the John Wick movies and stuff. And so, this is a really, cool drama. It has little hints of humor for levity and everything, but it's like a really dramatic show. It basically deals with the first season of you have a king and a queen, you have a brother, and he's like the prince of the king, and then you have they have 3 children, 2 princes and 1 princess. And one of the prince and the princess are huge partiers. You see the prince at a bar with his American girlfriend, and then you see the princess with one of her friends just completely drunk off her butt. And they're wild, they're scandalous, and they're trashy and everything. But then really early on, they get the news that their older brother, who's next in line for the crown, is dead. He was involved in a plane wreck and everything, and it crashed down and stuff like that. So he is presumably dead. And so the family's grieving, and there's just this one amazing shot of when okay, after the whole crotch incident, and the mom, the queen, is like furious and the king is like disappointed, you see the princess come in and she's just kind of like, sad, and you think she's sad because of the crotch picture, but no, she reveals that their older brother is dead. Then you see, then that's not the amazing shot I'm talking about. The amazing shot comes after. You have the prince running through the palace halls, and it's a big, like, immaculate long hallway, and he's just running like he's running for dear life and everything. And it's just this big and powerful scene of just him running and stuff, and I always love that scene, and I also love how they replicated it in another season. And so, they're dealing with the whole aftermath of their brother dying, who's going to be next in line, the next prince. But is he ready? Because he's too reckless, like his sister, the princess. Not only that, but their father, the king, wants to dissolve the monarchy and everything. And they're not exactly happy about that. So it's all this scandal stuff and backstabbing and this and that. It's a really fascinating and intriguing show. I'll upload season 2 later on. I've already made and recorded and pre-uploaded season 3 and 4 combined. I don't know when exactly I'm gonna have that released. And so, but the show, like I said before, it ended after, well, it got canceled after season 4, and it ended on a cliffhanger, which really pissed me off. And there's been lots of speculations as to why exactly it got canceled. And so it's kind of like, was it because, critics just didn't like it or something? Because critics hated this show. They thought it had huge negative reviews. They say it was trash and all this other stuff. Like, they can't believe somebody would make a show like this. But it lasted for 4 seasons, so somebody liked it. Could it happen, or did it get canceled because, the ratings started to drip and everything? I own season 1 and 2 on DVD, but I don't own season 3 and 4. I particularly did not like season 3 and 4. When they started, dropping cast members out of the blue, and it's like, wait, what happened to this person? Like the American Girl I told you about, she leaves after season 1. It's just kind of like, what the heck? And so other cast members kind of get written off, then brought back, and then they start bringing all these new people in, and it was almost like in the storylines they was coming up with were kind of desperate, kind of not. But it was still intriguing, but I just particularly don't like season 3 and 4. And so, could it have been because of that reason, you know what I'm saying? Or was it because of the creator showrunner who got suspended in between season 3 and 4 for sexual harassment? Lord Jesus have mercy. Let me see if I can pronounce this disgusting man's name. Mark Shuckwelm or something like that. Or Sharam. I don't know how to say his name. He's the creator of One Tree Hill from back in the day, that WB show. I never watched that show. He was also a writer on the Coach Carter movie, and he's the creator writer of this show. And because he's disgusting, of course, back in 2017, 2 writers said that he sexually harassed them back in the day. And then somebody from One Tree Hill said that when he was working on that show, he harassed them as well. Then this person further said in 2017 that no, not those two, because they the ones who what is it? They the one who exposed him around 2017. But then it was also revealed in 2017 He had sexually harassed 25 women on the current show, The Royals, that he worked on. This stems from everybody from cast members to crew members and stuff. And this show had a lot of females on the show. 25 women. So, needless to say, he got suspended in 2017 and he's been canceled ever since. He hasn't had no type of credits of any kind since 2017, and thank God, because the man is disgusting. But the show got canceled in 2018. I'm starting to think that with the ratings starting to drop and like this huge scandal and everything, they just like, all right, let's just best cancel this show. They shopped it around and everything to other networks, like their sister network, the Pop Network, but nobody would take it. I still can't believe what all they went through with that man and everything. Like, how disgusting can you be? You're famous. You don't have to do stuff like that. Plus, you shouldn't be doing that at all. So the show got canceled, ended on a cliffhanger, and that was that. Nobody really brings up this show anymore, but like I said, it did have its fan base to last for 4 seasons. Now, they do have it like, season 1 on DVD, season 2 on DVD, and then a combined combo disc or a combo set of season 1 and 2. I think they also have a combined of season 3 and 4, but I could care less because I don't want to own it. I'm not sure if it's still on Amazon Prime or not. It might be. It might be someplace else by now. I'm not really sure. I'm not even sure if I ever talked about the first episode. I feel like I have, but I don't know. But yeah. But it's just ironic that this is a British show set in like a British country, and it's no, not a British show. It's like it's a British cast with a British setting, but it's an American show. Like, that's just insane. So I wonder, do people even consider this to be a British show, even though it's technically an American one? They filmed in 3 completely different palaces / castles. 1 castle, 2 palaces. One of the main ones was Blenheim Palace. The palace and the interior, the exterior, everything was gorgeous and stuff. I really love it when they find real locations. And, I don't care if they have to like go to like 4, 5, 6 different locations as long as you get your best shots, you know what I'm saying? And I'm glad they did not go the CGI route like they did in Once Upon a Time. That was very irritating, seeing the interior of like the castles and wondering why it looks like CGI on a blue screen and stuff. And that's because it was, And so, like, I was also happy to just see, like, both William Moseley and Elizabeth Hurley in new projects, because when it comes to the Chronicles of Narnia, those 4 kids have had the hardest trouble finding new projects and stuff. 3 of them got very lucky. Like, William got lucky with this one. I think her name is Anna something. I can't remember her name. The one who played Susan. She was on Rain, and she was also in one of the Nun movies. And the other one, Georgie, she was in one of those movies. I can't remember the name. I think it was The Spanish Princess that you can watch on Stars. And she's been in like, a couple of movies, but for the most part, and then for William, I didn't see William in like nothing for like the longest time. I saw him in like a comedy sketch about Captain Planet, but that was really about it. And he looked like he was just irritated and didn't want to be in it. He probably didn't even know what Captain Planet was. That's like an American cartoon from back in like the early 90s and stuff, in late 80s. But like, yeah, I was really happy to see him in this. And I was also happy to see Elizabeth Hurley and stuff. Because I saw her in Bedazzled, and I saw her in Austin Powers, and I saw her in the Wonder Woman pilot that got didn't get picked up, but she was also in the third season of Marvel Runaways that you can see on the CW app and stuff. And so it was just nice to see her again. I still can't believe who she's dating right now. It's like, there's no way she can be desperate. She's too hot to be that desperate. Mr. Achy Breaky Heart himself. I can't believe that. Now, what really kept me hooked in this show, other than all the scandals and like people fighting for the throne and stuff like that, but the murder mystery. Not so much of that of the older brother, but the king. As soon as he said he was going to dissolve the monarchy and everything, he got assassinated. And it's like, who killed him? Was it his wife who's cheating on him? Was it one of the kids who, are going to be next in line? Or is it his crooked brother who is literally trying to steal the throne from like the prince and the princess? So it was like a huge mystery. And then there is this bizarre, shady type like bodyguard that is in love with the princess and stuff. So it was enough to keep me hooked for the first season and keep on going. Okay, so character bios. Rachel. Rachel will be pretty much the consistent only black character throughout the entire 4 season run, but she's only recurring. And she has a very, very tiny role in the show. Like, she pops in and then sometimes she never, like, she'll pop in, she'll pop out, and you'll never see her pop back in until a couple of episodes later. Or in the next episode where it's also very tiny, very brief. She's the personal assistant to Helena, the queen, and everything. And the only thing I know about her is that she's a dominatrix. And we literally just find this out because the queen literally asked her, when you're not working for me, what do you do? And she straight up tell her, I'm a dominatrix and everything. I do believe in the future seasons we might see a glimpse of the dominatrix side, but that's about it. The only other interesting thing about her in the first season is that when the queen is pissed at Cyrus, she wants the king's table burnt to the ground. And so Rachel goes get lighter fluid and a sparkler or like a lighter. And she tells Rachel, I was only kidding. Marcus is the other only black person in this show who barely does anything and is a recurring character because, he's black. And so he's only in the first season and in the first season only. He is Liam's personal bodyguard and confidant. They have a pretty cool relationship, but like I said, just like with Rachel, he pops in and he pops out. And he protects Prince Liam at all costs and everything. It is revealed by Gemma out of the blue that Marcus is actually in love with Ophia, the girlfriend of Liam. This came completely out of nowhere. The thing about the first season, it plays pretty fast and pretty loose, and then it throws you for a loop by revealing something with no kind of build-up whatsoever. And so, it pains him to see the woman he loves and his, like, somebody, like, he respects and everything, Liam and everything's arms. And that's really about it. Like, there's nothing about this guy that I can even think of that I can explain in this video, other than what I just told you, and that little tidbit was just thrown out of nowhere and stuff. Why the character was written out of the show after this season is beyond me. Joan Collins herself, the legend, plays that of the Duchess. I think she's a Duchess. Whatever the grandmother status is, Alexandria. And she is the mother to that of Queen Helena and everything. And so they have a pretty rocky relationship. She loves her grandkids, but her daughter seems to be a bit of a failure in her eyes and everything. And she talked about how she had to like claw her way to get Helena just a position to, meet the king back when he was a prince, to make him fall in love with her and stuff like that. So Helena can have a good future and stuff. Because Helena was not born into royalty or like any like fancy type family or riches or nothing like that. Now, of course, because she's the grandmother, she gets to live it up and like, have like all these expensive clothes and stuff like that. Alistair is a very interesting character. I think he's like the head of the military or something like that. But he is Queen Helena's secret lover. And they normally go in the tunnels and like in the bedroom and stuff like that. It is revealed by her in a confession on live TV that he was the one who got away, her one true love. And because they constantly have an affair, there was the possibility that the twins might be his. He said that, if they're not, he's gone, and he meant that and everything. Well, after they do the paternity test, it's revealed the twins are not his. And so, like, when Cyrus ends up being king, he has Lucius go to murder that of Alistair. He has two men walk into the room and shoot him. And so that's what we hear, the two gunshots and this and that. And I'm like, holy crap, why did this happen? Like, it's never explained really in season one why this happened and everything. It just kind of happens and you accept it. Now, spoiler alert for season two, Alistair is still alive. It was like, it was either a failed attempt murder or like, a setup or whatever, or a fake like murder attempt or whatever. And after that, he basically realized, I need to get the heck out of town and lay low and stuff like that. And so, like, yeah, he actually survived the assassination attempt. And it was revealed that Cyrus had him or wanted him murdered because he didn't want no scandals to, like, rock like the royal house and everything. Because, of course, Helena was having an affair with him. And so, like, also, spoiler alert for season four. I did not mention this in my season four review because at that time I had no idea who this dude's father was. So, spoiler alert for season four. This will happen at the very, 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 very end of the last episode of the series. There is this reality star who's very flamboyant and stuff like that, and Queen Helena just loves him. And so she invited him to dinner and all this other stuff. When everybody leaves, she tells him, I love you, son. And apparently that's her son out of like wedlock. It turns out that the father is actually Alistair. So he actually did give her a child. It's just not the twins. And of course, the series ended on a massive cliffhanger, so we'll never know how this will get resolved. Princess Penelope and Princess Marable. So they are the two daughters of Cyrus, and they're basically spares, who will never be queen and stuff like that, because Cyrus will technically never be king. However, he does end up being king at the end of the series, or season that is, because of a ruse and I can't talk, a ruse and everything. And so Penelope is played by the very hilarious Linda Rose Baisley, and Maribel is played by I think Hardy Preston. And so, like, I don't know, I think they might be twins. And Penelope is the oldest. And it's really funny because when her father becomes king, she's all like, hold up, I'm next in line and everything because I'm the oldest. And when she's talking to him, she's all like, if you die, and let's hope it happens soon, I will be queen and stuff like that. But she tells him straight up to the face. Now, the two sisters are basically there for comedic relief. They're supposed to be portrayed as kind of like, they're portrayed as comedic relief, kind of like hags, but in a slutty kind of way, in a very undesirable kind of way. I hate that. I think they're only They were only written that way because of their weight, and I hate that because they are both very lovely. Not when they make these faces, but like what I'm saying, and stuff like that. Now they pop in and out of the series. They're rarely in the first season. They will only be here for the first 2 seasons, and that's it. And they mostly just hang around like the other twins, their cousins and stuff. And the other cousins, like, Eleanor makes fun of them and stuff like that. And one disgusting thing happened where it's like there's this guy, and I forget his position in the world, but like he likes Eleanor, but Jasper knocked him out. And so he's completely unconscious. And the girls see that and they decide to drag him into their bedroom. So most likely they assaulted him. I said it's a very trashy, scandalous type show, but I wasn't expecting that to happen. And so, like, also when they was on the plane coming from another country, they wanted to smuggle drugs back into their country. So they decided to shove it up Penelope's hoo-ha and everything. Well, Eleanor told her, look, you have a confidential bag and everything. Nobody can search and stuff like that. So the girls are very stupid in their head. Now, Maribel will be played by a completely different actress in season 2. Why exactly did the original actress leave the show? Heck if I know. It could be because of the creator and stuff. I was very surprised when Linda was in this show because I assumed this show came out first before Drifters. Now, I reviewed all 3 seasons of Drifters. Go watch that. And I assumed she left that to go do this other show where she could be part of the main cast. Turns out she was in Drifters first and then later on went into this show. Prudence, played by I believe her name is Poppy Corby Tunic or something like that. Or Tech. My God, she is gorgeous. Those lips, those eyes. Like, she looks like a supermodel and everything. She is a maid at the castle, and she has a very interesting type role. Originally, Cyrus was into her and started sleeping with her. But then they got into an argument and she didn't want to have nothing to do with him. So she literally tried to murder this dude and everything by poisoning his drink. And he told her a story right before he was about to drink it, telling her how kings and back in the olden days would have like food tasters, and the majority of the food tasters would end up dead because of poison and everything. But he's all like, nowadays you don't need food testers because now you have security cameras. And he tells her straight up that if you don't want to end up arrested and everything for trying to kill the prince, then you better do exactly as I tell you. And what he wants is for her to follow the king when the king leaves the castle in secrecy and takes his walks at night. He wants to know everything that his brother does. And because King Simon likes to talk to Penelope, and he likes to talk to her about just like casual stuff, the people, how people, like just life in general and stuff like that. He wants to know his people. He wants to know his kingdom and stuff. And so nothing ever happens between him and her and Simon, but like. And then she's about to leave the room. Cyrus tells her, I did not tell you to leave and get back into position. So he basically is about to assault her and everything against her will because remember, she tried to kill him just a few minutes prior. And so, but later she is fired by Helena, which pisses off Simon because he really just enjoyed talking to somebody who he can have a natural conversation with. She disappears completely after like maybe the 3rd episode or so, 3rd or 4th. And then she doesn't reappear until the very end of the series after the king dies. And Cyrus is now the official king because he faked some documents that show that the twins, his brother's kids, are illegitimate. And then all of a sudden, you see Prudence start rubbing her belly and saying, "Look, my child, your father is king now," and everything. And it's like, holy crap, Cyrus knocked her up. And so it makes you wonder what's going to happen with her in season two. And like I said before, it's very fast paced and loose. Like they don't really develop her character that much. She's only there just to talk to the king and bang Simon, not Simon, but Cyrus and everything. Gemma, she is like an heiress to like a jewelry like manufacturer type person or something like that. She is also Liam's ex-girlfriend. And so she comes back in the picture when Helena wants her to start dating Liam again and get him away from Ophelia. And so, like, this causes a huge love square that later turns into a love triangle. Her and Ophelia cannot stand each other. She basically tells her, "You got no business here because you're just the daughter of, like, a security guard, and you're half British, half American, and, this is the big leagues, and, we're too good for you." She's very stuck up and aristocratic. And she acts very privileged. One of Liam's friends had like a brand new sports car. So she decided, hey, I'm good at like playing cards and everything. I'm gonna bet your car because I ran out of money. And she loses his car and she could care less. And so her and literally Ophelia, like I said, they fight over and over, but she's actually very jealous of Ophelia because Liam keeps running back to her and doesn't want to be with Gemma, and this hurts. And she wishes she could be more like Ophelia, so that Liam can like fall for her and stuff. When Liam is turned out not to be the king's son, which is of course a lie, she no longer really wants anything to do with Liam. And in a very shocking twist towards the end, when Ophelia goes to New York to pursue dancing, she gets a call from one of the American dance instructor judges people telling her that Ophelia has just like auditioned for them. And in a text, she tells them to hire her and keep her there so she'll never come back, hoping to, be with Liam and everything. But turns out this is the only season she is in. She is not in season 2 whatsoever. And most likely it probably had to do with the allegations against the creator and everything, which is quite a shame because she made for a very interesting character. She's a vixen and everything. This really could have been something huge in season 2, but they had to replace her with completely different characters. Ted Price is head of security and he's Ophelia's father. And basically, his wife is deceased because she got too close to the king, whatever that means and everything. I don't believe he had an affair. I just think she was pretty good friends with him. And she got in the line of fire when somebody tried to assassinate him and died. He's very overprotective of Ophelia and really doesn't want her dating Liam because he fears the same thing might happen to her that happened to his wife. King Simon is a very interesting character. Normally kings in like British type shows, especially the older ones, are like brutes and everything, but he's actually very kind and considerate. And the thing about him is that when it's reported that Prince Robert's plane crashed down and is presumed dead, he knows the next in line are the twins, mostly Liam. And if something happens to Liam, then it's Eleanor. He fears this because the twins are just party people. They play everything loose. They don't care about nothing. They have no concerns in life, and they're constantly getting drunk and high and going to nightclubs and being spectacles and everything. he fears that there's not gonna, and he doesn't want his brother to become like king because his brother is a tyrant and everything and can't be trusted. And he doesn't want Cyrus's daughters to be like queens. So he fears for the future of his kingdom and everything. And so it weighs on his mind, but he decides to dissolve or abolish the monarchy and everything because he just can't trust his family. He has failed as like a father and a brother and all this stuff. And he doesn't want his corrupt family to abuse that of the people. So when he announces all this, and the family finds out along with the rest of the country, and they are not too pleased and everything. Helena is pissed, and the kids are kind of like, Eleanor's just kind of like, hey, whatever. But Liam's a little hurt by this, but he knows that he is a screw up in life. And so the people have to vote if they're gonna like abolish it and stuff like that. However, after talking to like Liam and like his wife, he decides, okay, I might hold off on this and that. He's not really sure if he was gonna like do it after some persuasion. But then later on, when he finds out that his wife is having an affair on him, he gets so frustrated that he decides to go to the prime minister and go ahead to abolish it and everything. And so, like I said before, he likes to go on walks. He dressed as like a normal person and he just parades around town just looking at everything and observing people and looking at the on the river and the lakes and stuff like that. But he is very close with Liam, and he wants Liam to come with him on a walk to show him what he is missing out on life. All this partying just isn't good. He's trying to open up Liam's eyes so that one day Liam can take over the kingdom and everything. But Liam doesn't show up because he's too busy messing around with Ophelia. And so one night we see the king going back to the castle, bleeding, asking to get back in because somebody has stabbed him. This shook like his entire family, especially that of Eleanor, because she loves him the most because she hates her mother. And so the question is, who the heck stabbed him? And there are lots of culprits, like it could be Cyrus, it could be a random person, it could be his wife and everything, or it could be his wife's lovers and stuff. But nobody will figure this out, especially in season 1, because it ends on a cliffhanger. And he dies in the middle of the night. He dies as Liam is punching the crap out of Cyrus and everything. And it's like, holy crap. Like, we didn't really get to know the king all that well because he pops in and out of the show a lot. Cyrus, played by Jack Marskell. And so Cyrus is bisexual, just like the actor. And he's very flamboyant and very sly and everything. The one person he hangs out with the most is Eleanor, because they're both pretty cunning and want power and stuff. And they'll do anything to keep it, especially to persuade Simon not to abolish the monarchy and everything. They know if that's abolished, that's it for them. They have nothing to fall back on and everything. Like, that's their way of living. Cyrus has been a prince his entire life, and he knows no other kind of way. Now, he does messes around with a lot of like high-ranking people in like the government. And he's always in the tunnels and everything, like these secret passageways in the castle. Make you wonder what's he up to. We do know he will abuse his power, just like with Prudence, and sleep with her against her will and everything. He can't stand his kids because he looks at them as failures and stuff. He can't stand Simon's kids because they're next in line and he wants to be in line. So it's kind of like a Mufasa, Simba, Scar type thing. And so the thing about him is that he professes over and over he did not kill Simon, but he needs an alibi, so he makes up a fake one and everything. And so, like, he's also very rude to Ophelia, bringing up her dead mother and everything. He does not like Ted Price. But like I said before, him and Helena came up with a huge lie. That lie is to say that the twins are not really King Simon's and they're from like somebody else. Because of this, he ends up becoming a temporary king. And when he does, he is a tyrant and stuff. And so when he went to go visit his brother, his mom was there. And she tells him how proud she is of him and all this other stuff, but he needs to do something about his brother because his brother can't be trusted. And then she calls him by the wrong name. She has Alzheimer's. She does not like Cyrus whatsoever. And he asked her straight up, why don't you like Cyrus and everything? And she just gives a very odd answer, and it really hurts his feelings. This is the only time we see any kind of empathy from him because he just wants to be appreciated by like his like mother and everything. And when Liam starts to beat the crap out of him, he's all like, I know you killed my father and everything. He's like, no, I would never kill him because he's my brother. Even though Cyrus did point a rifle at his brother's head when they were shooting or hunting birds or something like that. And in a drug dream like fit and everything, because Cyrus loves to get high and everything. He was so pissed about the monarchy about to get like, abolished that he took a sword and was getting ready to run his brother through until his brother's all like, I decided to change my mind. I thought this was real until he closed the door and then he woke up because he was high off his behind. But at the end of the season, yes, he is officially the king and everything. And he finally got his wish. Queen Helena, played by that of Elizabeth Hurley. I still can't believe she's dating Billy Ray Cyrus. What in the world? Like, what in the world? That don't make no kind of sense. But when you find out about her politics, then it does, because they slightly align with his, especially that of immigration and stuff. So, like, now this makes perfect sense. But anyway, and she is this is probably one of her best roles. She plays her so well. And, like, she's very stern and it's all about appearances. When Robert was presumed dead and everything, she started fixing her makeup. When her husband got stabbed, she started fixing her makeup. When her husband, wait, did I say father or husband? Anyway, her husband got stabbed. When her husband died, she was fixing her makeup. And her son asked her straight up, why do you do this and everything? I think it was him or Cyrus, like, talking about this is so cold and everything. And she's all like, the people cannot see you at your worst. They cannot see you crying and this and that. You must always keep up appearances. And even when you just want to weep and start like boo-hooing tears and everything. She is very jealous of her daughter. Her daughter, of course, has youth and everything. And of course, she is getting older and stuff. And she will go as far as to sabotage stuff for her daughter. Like her daughter model runway type thing she's having. And she just doesn't care. Like she will literally sabotage it and everything just to make herself look better over that of her daughter. And she doesn't go too much into detail about like her looks or anything, but it's clearly evident that it is a jealousy thing because the daughter is the youngest and people just think she's so pretty and stuff. And her daughter hates her guts and everything. And it's really petty for her to like fight with her daughter. Even worse is that when Jasper comes around, she figures out exactly who he is and what he's been hiding, and she always calls him bodyguard. And she slept with him knowing her daughter is kind of has a thing for him and everything. And it's just so disgusting how she acts. She doesn't care about King Simon. She just wants power, money, and prestige and everything. And so, like, what is it? She tries to manipulate Liam and everything when Liam is about to be king. But like I told you before, she screwed him and Eleanor over by hatching a plan with Cyrus to fake the paternity test to show that she was sleeping around and that the twins are not Simon, when in fact they are. And it turns out she did this because she wants to stay in power. If Liam becomes the king, that's it. She no longer has power because he is of age, and she will not be the resigning monarch and everything. She will just be the queen's mother, a title and everything. Where it's basically she's just there living in the castle and has no control over anything. And of course, because Liam is in love with Ophelia, he could always marry her and she would really be screwed. So she wants Cyrus to be king because she figures since Cyrus is by, he'll probably never end up marrying who he wants to marry and everything. And if Cyrus never marries, she still gets to be queen. Now, one sinister thing that Helena did is that when she went to this other like part of England and everything, she got into a bit of an argument with one of the locals who has like he might have like a bar or something like that, and he doesn't like the royal family and everything. So after insulting her, when she leaves, all of a sudden, mysteriously, his bar burnt down in the middle of the night. Either the townspeople did it because they didn't like the way he talked to the queen, or she had some of her security guards to do it, or they hired some goons to do it. Jasper, played by Tom Alston. So, he is a British actor, and in the show, he's an American pretending to be British and everything. The dude has resting Batman face. Like, seriously, the eyes, the eyebrows, the arch, he has resting Batman face. And so, like, he is a con artist and everything, but we don't necessarily know that at first, but we start to get a glimpse of it. He pretends to be part of the security detail and he pretends to be British. And so one night when Eleanor got like high and she wanted to sleep with him, she's all like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Jasper, but you're about to lose your job because we just slept with each other, but I could care less and everything." And he tells her, "Well, I'm pretty sure you don't want the news media to see the sex tape that I recorded of us doing it because you was too high to realize what's going on." So he's holding that over her head as leverage. And so she realizes, okay, she's going to get him back, but she's still going to sleep with him because she likes sleeping with him. And so it's a cat and mouse type of game that they play over and over and over again, where he gets very jealous when she's around guys and she's constantly kissing on guys that she used to like in the past or just some random person, even though she's also bi, but she makes him jealous by making out with men. And like I said before, he punched that one dude out. He's very protective of her and will make sure nobody will hurt her and stuff. But when Helena found out about like who he is, she slept with him, and Eleanor found that out because she found Jasper's what are those things called, like cuffs or whatever, in her bed. And so in the rage of fit, when after the king got stabbed, she had Jasper arrested. She knows Jasper is faking. She knows he's faked his British accent and that he's an American because she had him looked up. But she doesn't know the means as to why he's really there and stuff. It's a really interesting like thing between those two. But then it turns out that he confesses to her there was never no videotape. He's been holding that over her head, and the question is why and stuff. But when something bad happens and she needs protection, she gets him out of jail so he can protect her and stuff. Ophelia, played by Merritt Patterson. She is half British, half American with an American accent. She's the only American on that show. And she is the love interest of Liam and everything. She's also the daughter of Ted Price. And so, right from the start, he tells her, if we make this like official, your whole world is gonna change and everything. Like the paparazzi is gonna be hounding you and this and that. So she becomes like a household name because of that. Her father is not happy, and neither is Helena. This is when she brings in that of Gemma. And like I said before, those two can't get along. Even Ophelia is jealous of Gemma. The things she says to her really comes to mind, like how she's not good enough for them. So she backs off from that of Liam and the spotlight and everything. And this is when the love triangle becomes that of a love square. There's this guy, I forget his name, but he was friends with Prince Philip, who is presumed dead, and he's a former college classmate of that of Ophelia. So they start to hit it off and they start dating. This makes Liam jealous and everything. But eventually they broke up because her heart is for that of Liam and Liam only, turning the love square back into a love triangle because Gemma just will not give up and everything. But like I said before, Liam does pick her. She has a desire to dance and go to like a dancing school, but it's in New York. She doesn't want to leave because she doesn't want to leave Liam. And so she loves Liam to death and would do anything for him, especially when he spiraled out of control and got drunk. She was the one who went and found him. And so when it's revealed that Liam is supposedly not a real prince, he arranges it so that she can go to New York and dance and everything. And just like that, she goes to dance. Now, I assume that, like, and the thing about her, she's really sweet, nice, and caring, so you want her and Liam to be together. I assume next season she would be back. But she wasn't. She only appears in one episode. She got completely written off the show. It might have had something to do with the creator and his allegations. And when she left the show, I was pissed. You spent an entire season, 10 episodes, getting to know her, like her character, wanting her and Liam to end up happily ever after, only for it not to happen. And for it to just get completely written out like it never happened in season 2. I was so furious and everything. Princess Eleanor, the original bad girl, played by Alexandria Park. And she is a feisty, free-spirited person. You can't help but to love her character. She parties constantly. Because she knows she is a spare, she could care less about being proper and the royal succession of line and this and that. She's constantly going to clubs. She's making out with guys and girls left and right, getting drunk, getting high, having a stash of substance constantly, like in her room and everything. Like, she just lives life to like the fullest, sleeping with whoever because she could just care less. And like I said before, she hates her mother's guts. They constantly fight over everything. And like on top of that, it's the whole Jasper situation and everything. Somebody she wants to get rid of, but like sleeping with him, and it's kind of having fun with this whole chase, cat and mouse chase type thing that they're doing. Liam is her twin brother and she cares for him deeply. They always have like pretty like natural conversations. But she is pretty much rude to like people she don't like. She's rude to Cyrus, her mom, Jasper, Cyrus's daughters and everything. But we do see a pretty gentle, soft side to her. Family members she loves to death. Like Liam, her father, and Robert. She goes to like Robert's like, what they call that, like a memorial site. And she just sits down on the ground and she pretends like she's talking to him and everything. It would have been so nice to see the relationship that those two had, but he's never shown whatsoever in season 1. And so, like, but she really does have that soft side to her and everything. When her father got stabbed, she completely and utterly loses it. She takes a spray can and she just like scribbles all over her room. She's constantly screaming. She's tossing stuff. She loves her dad to death. And she can't take it, especially if he dies, then she's stuck with the mother and everything. And we start to see a very dark side of her, even to the point of like, she finally has something over Jasper to get him out her life. With her father being stabbed and everything, and him sleeping with like her mother, she assumes maybe, just maybe, he did it to get with to get him out the way so he can be with her mother, and she has him arrested. She constantly accuses Cyrus of trying to kill her father and everything. Like when I say she loses it, she completely loses it and everything. And but then it's revealed that she might not be his father, his child. But she loses it even more. But she doesn't care. She constantly says, "That is my father," and everything. Then there is a man who grabs her from behind in an elevator. A mysterious man that shows up out of nowhere. I believe his name is Brandon, and he pretty much confesses he's the one who killed her brother because he was hired to make the plane crash and everything. And so this is when she gets Jasper, like, out of prison so that he can protect her because she's about to meet this dude in a secluded place and everything. The thing about her that I like, even though she is a screw up, she does have a gentle side to her, and she can be very smart when she needs to, very street smart and everything. And she knows how to use those street smarts to stay one step ahead of people who try to screw her over, like Jasper and stuff. Now, randomly, it is revealed with some dude she starts messing around with, that is the love of her life. But she can't be with him because he is married. This just literally came completely out of nowhere, and it will be addressed a bit more in season 2. Prince Liam, played by William Moseley. I remember this dude from the Chronicles of Narnia, and he was also in what was that, college humor video about like Captain Planet. Don Cheadle is in it. And so he was actually, it's funny, he auditioned for the role of Harry Potter back in the day, but lost out to Daniel Radcliffe. And so Liam is a very charming man, very soft-spoken, and is like a ladies' man. Women just like love him and stuff like that. But he only has eyes for one woman, Ophelia and stuff. And he wants her more than anything else. But like I said before, there are obstacles in his way. There's Robert's friend. There is Gemma. But no matter what, he can't stop pining after her. Like his twin sister, he is a screw up, partying, getting drunk, getting high. He is not responsible. However, he is more responsible than that of Eleanor. And so the idea of becoming king is something he wants, and it does hurt him when his father wants to disband like the monarchy and everything. He is a very just person. Like I said before, when him and his mother and Cyrus went to the other part, along with Gemma, the other part of like the country, he befriended like I think like a blacksmith or a person who makes shoes and this and that. And he really brought the townspeople onto his side by showing that he's not just some privileged like little rich boy. He actually does care about the people. This is a quality that his dad starts to see in him. One thing that helps bring out this quality is Ophelia. Ophelia is kind of like his rock that keeps him centered in everything. And so like when they become like official and everything, this is when his father really wants him to take a walk with him and just observe, life and everything. But he doesn't meet his father in the tunnels. Instead, he goes to sleep with Ophelia, and that's the night his father got stabbed. that weighs over his head because he feels like he could have saved his father from dying and everything. And so he hates Cyrus because he assumes Cyrus, has something to do with it. And he knows Cyrus lied about the paternity test along with his mother. He realized his mother is trying to use him, but the fix was on him because he didn't think about the whole paternity test thing. And so like he loves his sister dearly and everything. He's really good at playing darts. And like I said before, one of the best scenes about him is when he's running up the stairs and just like running through like the hallways. We get two scenes of that this season. One when Robert dies and it's daytime, and another when his father gets stabbed and it's nighttime and we see him running in the halls at night, dimly lit. I love the contrast of night and day and everything. But when it's revealed that he might not be Simon's, um, son, he completely loses it and gets drunk. He goes to a bar and just loses it and is hallucinating that he's seeing his father. He gets into a fight with the bartender and everything, and the bartender whoops his behind. And you think the bartender is really gonna lay it into him, but instead he just sits him up and talking about, just like it'll be okay and stuff like that, and you need this butt whooping type thing, what I'm saying, to set you straight and everything, and and he understands that Liam is hurting because the dude lost it all and now he lost the only person that was his father. But like I said before, he takes his vengeance out on Cyrus, beating the holy snot out of Cyrus and everything, only to watch Cyrus take his crown as he's about to be crowned king. And you really think Liam's about to be crowned king until Cyrus busts in, is all like, he's illegitimate and everything like that, taking that dude's moment away. Out of all the characters, Liam is probably everybody's like favorite, only because he is a bit more responsible than that of Eleanor, and he's less scandalous than her. Then there's the whole Ophelia thing, and he could have picked Gemma, you know what I'm saying? He could have picked her. She's rich, she looks just as good as like Ophelia and everything. She's privileged. But he doesn't want that. He doesn't want this privileged aristocrat that he knows is probably going to use him just for his prince status and everything. He wants somebody real and he wants somebody genuine, which is, of course, Ophelia. How he turns out in later seasons is a bit shocking at times and stuff. So all in all, the first season is very good, very scandalous. It is a bit rushed in certain places, and it's kind of like, okay, cool your jets and explain things a little more, but that's what they was banking on for a season 2. It paid off, and some of those questions that you have in season 1 are answered in season 2, and if not that, then other seasons and stuff. Like I said before, it is quite a shame this show got canceled. But I do understand why British people were pissed over this show, because it shows the royal family in a bad light, and they don't like that. Even though this is not based on the actual real royal family, a bunch of made up characters, nevertheless, you know how high strong they are about their political people and stuff. And the show is very well acted and everything. I still can't believe it's an American show that's completely British. And I still can't believe the freaking like creator. Because he worked on One Tree Hill. And as we all know, the father on One Tree Hill is scum and got Me Too. And so now you're starting to wonder how much did he really know if he's over here harassing folks as well. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.